Hi, welcome back to my channel, or a very warm welcome if you're new here. My name is Sophie, and in today's video I'm going to be tackling the mid-year book freakout tag for the first time ever on my channel, and I'm really excited to film this video as this feels like a booktube staple at this point. So I'm not sure if you can still access the original creators video who came up with this concept, but it has been going for a long time on booktube now, and it's a way of looking back on the first 6 months of the year at the books that you've read and looking at some of the highlights, and then also looking forward to the next 6 months of reading. There are 13 questions for this tag, so I will just get straight to it. So question number 1, which actually feels like one of the hardest questions, is what is the best book that you've read so far this year? So I have read quite a lot of great books this year already, but there are a few that stand out. I don't think I can particularly pick one, but I do have a few that stood out for me. So first is Sweet Bitter Song by Rosie Hewlett, and this is a kind of Iliad Odyssey retelling, and this focuses on the character of Melantho, who is one of the handmaidens in the Odyssey, and she doesn't really have much of a story there. And it's about her relationship with Penelope and about the lives of the women in Ithaca when everybody had gone to battle and when Odysseus was struggling to make it back home. So yeah, I thought this was a really beautifully written book. Rosie Hewlett is fast becoming one of my favourite authors. She has such a talent for writing beautiful mythology retellings, and yeah, I highly recommend her writing, and especially this one. I think this is her best yet. Then also another one of my favourite authors released The Sun and the Star Maker, and this again is one of the favourites that I've read so far this year, and yeah, it was just such a beautiful magical world, and I loved the fairy tale aspect, and yeah, I thought the writing was really good. So I've only really known Rachel Griffin's writing from the witchy books that she has written so far. And while she's still writing about magic and magic systems, this is very much grounded in a more fairy tale world. So yeah, I really did love this. I love the writing, and yeah, I love the story. I love the romance, and I would highly recommend this one. And then one of the books that I read from the International Booker Prize, and this is She Who Remains by Reni Karabash, and this is a book that I really cannot stop thinking about. I love how this is written in kind of fragments of narrative, so it does very much feel like you don't know everything that has happened, and it's being revealed to you very slowly. It goes back in the past, and it just has some really beautiful descriptions and beautiful writing, and yeah, I really would recommend this one as well. It was such a good read. And then I have a fourth favourite, and this is The Woodsmoke Women's Book of Spells by Rachel Greenlaw. So I read this back in January, and this was beautifully written. So it was reminiscent of kind of Alice Hoffman, Practical Magic, and Sarah Addison Allen, who has written a lot of magical realism witchy books as well. It really had those vibes, and this is actually a perfect read for autumn, but I did read it in January, and I thought the writing was beautiful. I did really enjoy the story. So again, another of my favourites from this year. Then moving on to question 2, which is the best sequel you've read. So I actually realised that I haven't read a lot of sequels this year, which is a little bit of a problem because I do have so many series that I'm in the middle of. And yeah, if you do want to see all the series I'm in the middle of, then do check out my video where I go through every book series I'm in the middle of. So yeah, surprisingly, I haven't actually read a lot of sequels this year, and I really probably do need to correct that at some point soon. So out of the sequels I've read, I think Cursebound by Sarah Alarifi is probably the best that I've read so far, although I am currently in the middle of The Witch and the Wolf by Lindsay Kalk, which is book 2 in the Savannah Red series, and I think based on my enjoyment of the first book, I think that will probably be the best sequel that I will have read this year. But I did really enjoy Cursebound as well. So yeah, this is book 2 in a trilogy, and I think the third book is actually coming out this year as well. So hopefully I can get that and also complete this series But yeah, this is the FairyLoot edition, so I'm hoping that I can get a matching copy through them. I won't go into too much detail about the plot points of this, but basically it's set in a world where we have elves, fae, and also humans. And we predominantly follow our main character, Yiren, who is an elf, and she used to be in the elven army, but she was exiled, and while she's in exile, her sister also follows her, and she ends up discovering the Fae, whose existence has pretty much been myth at this point. So most of the world do not know that the Fae still exist. And yeah, in the first book, we follow Yiren and Letty as they end up in the Fae lands and find more out about the Fae. And this one kind of picks up after the first book ends, and we end up discovering a lot more about the Fae in this book. So on to question 3. A new release you've not read yet but want to. So again, there's probably a lot of books that I could mention here, but there are 4 here that I'm particularly excited to try and read this year. So first we have The Dragon and the Sun Lotus by Emily Wen Chow, and this is a sequel to The Scorpion and the Night Blossom, and I have spoken about this book quite a lot on my channel. So I ended up giving the first book 5 stars from last year. I really enjoyed it, enjoyed the world building, enjoyed the writing, and enjoyed the romantasy. So it is a romantasy, but I felt that there was a very good balance between plot and romance in the first book. And yeah, I just really loved the world building and a little bit of the folklore that was in the first book. So I'm really excited to read the second book. Then there's Survival Show by Juno Dawson. So Juno Dawson is author of Her Majesty's Royal Coven series, which I really enjoyed. And this is a YA dystopia, which seems to be a little bit of a cross between reality television, dystopia, and also kind of thriller mystery. So yeah, I'm particularly interested to read more of Juno Dawson's books. And this one is particularly interesting to me as I do love YA dystopia. And then we have A Dark Forgetting by Kirsten Ciccarelli, and I'm not sure if this is technically a new release. I think this may have been published before, but after the success of The Crimson Moth, I think this was republished this year. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But yeah, I'm really excited to read more as I did love The Crimson Moth. So yeah, I'm interested to read this one. And then we have a sequel to Shield of Sparrows, which I read earlier in the year and also did really enjoy. And this is Rights of the Starling by Devoney Perry. And yeah, this is quite a chunky book, so I'm not sure how likely it is that I will get to finish this year. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this. Again, this was very good world building, so I really love Devoney Perry's writing. It is a romantasy, but it did feel a little bit more unique to a lot of the romantasy that we have today. So yeah, I did love the world building, love the story. And I also did listen to book 1 with a graphic audio, which was amazing. So yeah, I'd highly recommend that if you want to read Shield of Sparrows. It does help because it is quite a chunky book. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens in this next book. And it's also part of a trilogy, I think. So I'm guessing the next book is probably out next year. So then to question 4 is most anticipated release of the second half of the year. And as with most of these questions, there are multiple answers from me. So by the time this video goes up, I should have also posted my most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. So do also check that video out if you want to hear all of the releases that I'm excited about. But there are a few that I'm particularly excited about coming out. So first is a sequel to Hecate by Nikita Gill, and this is Styx. So it is the second book in the series, but I think it acts more of a prequel to Hecate than a sequel. But yeah, I loved Hecate, so I'm really excited to read Styx. And then the first in the last ever Shadowhunters trilogy is coming out. So that's the Wicked Powers trilogy. So yeah, the first book in that is coming out in November. So another one I'm really excited about. We have The Sixth Faction by Veronica Roth. So it does just feel like a great year for renaissance of some of my favourite series from the past. Then we also have a sequel to The Time Traveller's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger. And then the book that I think I'm probably most excited about is a new release by Alice Hoffman, and this is Witches of Cambridge. And this should come out just about the time where Practical Magic 2 is being released in cinemas, and I can't wait to see this film. I have prayed for a sequel to Practical Magic for such a long time, and yeah, I love the book series, so I'm really excited that we're going to get Practical Magic 2 this year. But yeah, as I say, there's a lot of other books that I'm really excited for, so do check out that video I mentioned if you want to see more of my anticipated releases. So moving on to question 5, which is, what was the biggest disappointment of the year so far? So I don't think I've had a lot of disappointing reads this year, but I think I will probably say for this question that it is unfortunately The Witch by Marie Ndiaye. And this was part of the International Booker shortlist. And yeah, I really didn't get what I thought I was going to get out of it. And yeah, it was quite a disappointing read. I did expect a lot more kind of folklore and a lot more actual witchy magic, which we didn't get in this. So yeah, it's probably going to be this one. Then question 6 is, what is the biggest surprise of the year so far? So I think for this one, I'm actually going to have to say that firstly, I was very surprised and proud of myself that I've read the Iliad and the Odyssey by Homer this year. So that was a great achievement for me. So that was a surprise. It wasn't what I expected when I started planning books I wanted to read in 2026. And I don't think I expected to enjoy them as much as I did. But I think I would also say She Who Remains by Rennie Carabash was also a big surprise. I mean, I thought I would enjoy this one. I did like the concept, but I didn't realise it would be one of those books that just stays with you. I didn't realise how beautiful the writing was and how interesting the narrative style was. So yeah, this has been a big surprise this year as well. Then question number 7, who is your new favourite author? So there are actually a few authors I've read this year who are now favourite authors. So first, I think it's going to have to be Devney Perry. So yeah, as I said, I really enjoyed Shield of Sparrows. I love the world building and I'm really excited to read more by Devney Perry. I think also definitely Rachel Greenlaw, who wrote the Woodsmoke Women's Book of Spells. Really interested to read more of her writing. And probably Lucy Holland, who wrote Sister Song. And also Ayanna Gray, who wrote I, Medusa. So they are authors who I'm really keen to read more by, and I think they could be favourite authors. Then question number 8 is, who is your newest fictional crush? So for this one, I think there's 2 that come to mind. So firstly, Oscar the Orc in Tusk Love. I really loved his character and I thought, yeah, he was really lovely and very misunderstood. But yeah, I really love Oscar in this. And then also Rose from Seven Deadly Thorns. So he is a bit of a morally grey character and yeah, he is a bit bad boy. He does some bad stuff. He is an assassin. But yeah, again, I did love his character and you do see a little bit of the vulnerable side of him in this book as well. So yeah, those are probably the 2 I would say for that. Then question number 9 is, who is your new favourite fictional character? So I think, again, I do have a couple here. So firstly, definitely Idessa from Shield of Sparrows. I love her character. So she's kind of lived her life in the background and it always was going to be her sister who would marry into the different kingdom. But circumstances in the start of Shield of Sparrows mean that Idessa is actually the one who is going to marry the prince. So yeah, I loved how she's lived this life pretty much by herself in the background and then she's suddenly brought into the foreground to be the main character. And yeah, I really love seeing her development in this book as well and I can't wait to read more in Rites of the Starling. Then I would also probably say actually Penelope from Sweet Bitter Song. So although Melantho is pretty much, I would say, the main character in this book, I really loved hearing about this version of Penelope. And yeah, so I would say that she is also one of my favourite characters that I've read this year as well. Then question number 10 is, a book that made you cry. So there's actually quite a few of these and a few actually coming from the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist. So first up, The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. this had a revelation about the main character, which was really heartbreaking, and yeah, that part did really make me cry. Then also on the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist, Heart the Lover by Lily King. Again, there is an event in this towards the end which is heartbreaking and had me sobbing. So yeah, I think the Women's Prize for Fiction shortlist was quite a tearjerkery one this year. Then also probably Cleopatra by Sarah Al-Rifi. So yeah, I really love this book, and there is a point towards the end where you discover the truth of something, and that bit did have me in tears. And then are there any more? Yeah, so once again, Sweet Bitter Song by Rosie Hewlett, that did make me cry. So yeah, quite a few books that made me cry this year so far. And then we have question number 11, which is the opposite. So what is a book that made you happy? So while I was looking through the books I've read, a lot of them are quite tragic. So I think that is a reflection on my reading taste, and maybe I do need to read books which are a little bit happier, I think. So once again, Shield of Sparrows. I mean, this isn't the happiest of books. Some awful things happen, but I think this is a book where I was truly happy reading this one and just really wanted to keep reading more. So there's that one. And then I think probably the happiest book that I have on the books that I've read this year is Tusk Love. So yeah, this was a pretty fun, romantic-y, cozy fantasy, cozy romantasy. So yeah, that one did make me happy. And yeah, also the cover as well, I think is beautiful with the yellow sprayed edges. Yeah, so that was one that made me happy. But apart from that, can't find a lot of other happy books. But I think the question is more, what book made you happy? So not necessarily a happy book. But yeah, I guess any of the favourites I've also mentioned as well would have made me happy. Then question number 12 is, what is the most beautiful book you have bought this year? So again, I've had some really beautiful books, especially in subscription boxes, but there are a few that I think particularly are worth mentioning. So first is The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. I think this came this year. Yeah, I think it was early this year. But yeah, I just thought this is such a beautiful design. I love the colour scheme and I love these edges, and yeah, also the hardcover as well. So I thought this was a really beautiful edition of this book. Then probably my favourite special edition of the year so far is A Dark and Wild Wood by Sarah Nicole Lemon. So yeah, this one is just beautiful. I love the gothic sepia tone to this. I love the sprayed edge detail. And yeah, how you don't notice the guy behind at first. And yeah, I just love all of the customizations on this book. Then also a book that I have actually added to my library quite recently in the last couple of weeks, and this is Rotten Heart by Kat Dunn, and this is the indie edition. So we have skulls on the sprayed edges. And also I love this cover, but unfortunately I think the title covers up a lot of it. But yeah, I love this cover design. And then also in this edition, we have a skull on the hardcover as well. So yeah, that is a stunning edition as well. So yeah, that is the three that I think are probably most stunning so far. I think there are a lot of other gorgeous designs, but those three kind of came to mind immediately. And then we are at the final question. So question number 13 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So the honest answer to this is too many. There are so many books that I want to read by the end of the year. So I have all of my challenges, my 26 books in 2026. I have my self-destructing books. I have Our Fantasy Bingo, although that can also wait for the first 3 months of next year. But then also I have some rereads I want to do and some reading vlogs with full series that I want to do. So very ambitious. But let's just take a look at my 26 books in 2026. So I will add a little screen recording in here as well so you can follow along with me. But yeah, this is the 26 books in 2026. So according to my tally, I have read 8 and I have 18 remaining. So it's still quite a lot. I am reading a couple in June still. So I think another few of those will be knocked off. But yeah, it's still quite a lot. So we have Aphrodite by Veronica Rogerson. We have Lies We Sing to the Sea by Sarah Underwood. The Isle in the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri. Mistress of Bones. I've forgotten the author right now. All the Dead Lie Down by Kiri Macaulay. Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Then we have Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. Forever Interrupted and After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Book of Lives by Margaret Atwood. That is actually on my June TBR, so I should be finishing that this month. Then Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. The Girl in the Eagle's Talons by Karen Smirnoff. They Own the Night by Amy McCaw. Songlight by Moira Buffini. The Healing Season of Pottery. I also can't remember the author name for this one. And Fallen City by Adrian Young. The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. So that is still quite a large number of books that I need to read on my 26 books in 2026. And then I probably won't go through them here because it relates to the self-destructing books. I haven't read any, so there's still 12 of those to read. And yeah, if you want to see what books are on that list, then do check out my video that I posted earlier in the year. So that's the end of my first ever mid-year book freakout tag. So do let me know in the comments if you are going to do this tag and link your video too so I can check that out. And yeah, also give me a quick update on how your reading year has been so far and what your plans are for the second half of the year. Thanks for watching, and also do check out some of my other videos I've mentioned. I will link the anticipated releases video here so you can check out all of the anticipated releases that I'm looking forward to from July to December. And yeah, I will see you next time. Bye.